One crisp morning in Chicago, Barack Obama sat in his office overlooking the vibrant streets below. The desk in front of him was scattered with documents, yet his eyes were drawn to a handwritten letter on top of the pile. It was from an 18-year-old named Mia, a young woman from a struggling neighborhood in Detroit. "Dear Mr. President," the letter began, her words brimming with urgency and hope. Mia recounted the hardships in her community: violence, lack of opportunities, and a sense of hopelessness. She described her determination to organize an event that would inspire young people to take action. "We need someone to listen, someone to guide us. If you could join us, it would mean the world." Obama leaned back in his chair, moved by Mia's words. Her courage reminded him of his own younger days when he worked as a community organizer. He folded the letter neatly and smiled. This was the kind of opportunity that rekindled his belief in grassroots change. A week later, Mia received a letter in return. "Dear Mia, your words moved me deeply. I'll be there. Let's make a difference together. Barack Obama." On a sunny Saturday afternoon, Obama's car pulled up in front of a modest community center. The building was aged but alive with activity. Inside, a group of about 50 young people gathered, their faces a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Mia stood at the front of the room, clipboard in hand, her energy radiating hope. Obama entered the room to a wave of hushed whispers and wide-eyed stares. He greeted everyone warmly, shaking hands and making them feel at ease. After a round of introductions, Mia took the stage to share her vision. "Our community faces challenges every day," she began, "but we are not powerless. Together we can create opportunities, clean our streets, and make this a place where everyone feels safe." The room erupted in applause. Obama nodded in agreement, impressed by Mia's ability to galvanize her peers. Then, one by one, the young participants stood up to share their own ideas and frustrations. Some spoke about the need for better education, while others emphasized the lack of mentorship and career opportunities. When it was Obama's turn to speak, he stood and looked around the room. "What I see here," he said, "is a group of young leaders who refuse to accept the status quo. That's where change begins, with people like you." After the initial meeting, the young leaders gathered around Obama in a more intimate circle. The energy in the room was palpable. They were eager to hear from someone who had walked the path of leadership and change. Obama began by recounting his days as a community organizer in Chicago, his voice steady and reflective. "When I started working in communities like yours, I didn't have much experience," he admitted. "But I knew one thing: change doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. It starts with people coming together, like all of you, to tackle what seems impossible." He paused, scanning the faces of the young participants. "You may feel small against the challenges ahead," he continued. "But remember, movements that change history often begin with just a handful of people who refuse to give up." Mia chimed in, her voice filled with determination. "But what if we fail? What if no one listens to us?" Obama smiled, his expression both kind and knowing. "Failure is part of the journey, Mia. I've faced setbacks, criticism, and doubt, but every time I learned something new. The real failure is not trying at all." A young man named Jamal, who had been quiet until now, raised his hand hesitantly. "How do we convince people that we're serious, that we can actually make a difference?" Obama turned to him. "Jamal, people don't follow words. They follow actions. Show them what you can do, even if it's something small. Clean up one street, organize one event, help one person. When they see your commitment, they'll believe in you." The conversation deepened as Obama shared anecdotes from his presidency, emphasizing the power of persistence and collaboration. By the end of the session, the room felt lighter, yet charged with purpose. "Leadership isn't about having all the answers," he concluded. "It's about asking the right questions and inspiring others to join you in finding the solutions." With newfound determination, the group transitioned into planning mode. Obama suggested breaking into smaller teams to focus on specific issues, allowing each person to take ownership of a piece of the larger vision. One group decided to address education gaps by organizing after-school tutoring programs. Another proposed hosting workshops on financial literacy to help young people manage their money better. A third team volunteered to tackle the visible signs of neglect in the neighborhood: graffiti-covered walls, littered streets, and broken park equipment. As the brainstorming continued, Mia took on the role of facilitator, her confidence growing with each passing minute. She used a large whiteboard to map out timelines, assign roles, and set achievable goals. Obama watched her work, clearly impressed. At one point, Jamal hesitated again when asked to lead the cleanup team. "I'm not sure I'm ready for this," he said, looking down at his hands. Obama approached him and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Jamal, leadership isn't about being ready. It's about stepping up when the moment calls for it. You've already shown courage by being here today. Trust yourself, and others will trust you too." The words seemed to ignite something in Jamal. He nodded firmly and began discussing ideas with his team. As the hours passed, the room buzzed with collaboration. Obama walked between the groups, offering advice and encouragement. He shared practical tips on organizing events, rallying volunteers, and seeking sponsorships. "You'll face obstacles," he warned. "Some people will doubt you, and others might even try to discourage you. But remember why you're doing this. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture." By the end of the session, the young leaders had not only a clear action plan, but also a renewed sense of purpose. They had set a date for their first project, a neighborhood cleanup and beautification event at the local park. Before leaving, Obama gathered everyone for one final message. "What you're doing here is more than just improving a neighborhood," he said. "You're building a movement, and movements have the power to change the world." Mia stepped forward, holding the plan they had crafted together. "We won't let you down, Mr. President," she said. Obama smiled. "You've already succeeded, Mia. The rest is just building on what you've started." The neighborhood cleanup day arrived with a buzz of excitement. Volunteers from all walks of life gathered in the park, armed with gloves, trash bags, and paintbrushes. Jamal, now fully confident in his role, directed teams toward the most littered areas while Mia coordinated supplies. As the work began, the park came alive with activity. Families planted flowers, children picked up litter, and artists repainted graffiti-covered walls. A local musician even played cheerful tunes, adding to the uplifting atmosphere. Barack Obama quietly joined in, painting alongside volunteers. "This is impressive work," he said to Mia, who smiled proudly. By the afternoon, the park was completely transformed, a vibrant, welcoming space filled with laughter and hope. Jamal climbed onto a bench to address the crowd. "Today, we cleaned a park. Tomorrow, we'll clean up the future," he said, his voice strong and steady. The crowd erupted in applause as Obama added, "This is what leadership looks like. Keep building, keep inspiring, and never stop leading." As the day ended, the young leaders and their community stood together, proud of what they had achieved. The cleanup marked the start of a movement, fueled by hope and unity, ready to tackle whatever came next. Months later, Mia and her team were invited to a national leadership conference in Washington, D.C. The event brought together young changemakers from across the country, and Obama was the keynote speaker. On stage, Mia shared their story. "We started with a simple idea, to make our neighborhood better, but what we learned was that change is contagious. When you take the first step, others will follow." As Mia spoke, Obama watched from the side, his heart swelling with pride. When it was his turn to speak, he said, "What Mia and her team have done proves that leadership doesn't wait for permission. It begins when someone says, 'I can do something.'" The conference ended with a standing ovation for Mia and her team. They returned home with new ideas, partnerships, and a renewed determination to continue their work. The ripple effects of their efforts continued to grow, inspiring a generation to believe that even small actions could lead to profound change. As Obama watched them flourish, he thought to himself, "This is the future I always believed in." Like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.